In my new life, I dodged every single encounter with Ava Thompson. When she stayed on at our university for grad school, I chose to study abroad just to put an ocean between us. When I returned to the States, and she came to my parents' house looking for me, I immediately left and went traveling, ignoring all her calls and texts. After graduation, she moved to my city for a job. So, I quit mine and left without a word. In my first life, I loved Ava Thompson for 30 years. And for 30 years, she despised me. I died in a car crash on the way to buy her a birthday present. In my final moments, she was busy decorating the new home she would share with her one true love, sending out invitations to their wedding. The children I had raised with my own two hands had forgotten me entirely, caught up in the excitement of the celebration. I died alone and miserable on an operating table. I refused to live that life again. One day, after successfully submitting my application to the overseas program, I leaned back in my chair, a wave of relief washing over me. This time, I could finally be rid of Ava Thompson for good. What no one knew was that just moments ago, I had been reborn. There was only an hour left before the application deadline for the international university. Thankfully, this time I made it. My fingers flew across the keyboard. A pop-up finally appeared. Your application has been sent successfully. In my past life, I tried so hard to follow in Ava's footsteps, only to live under the shadow of her contempt. It all ended with a lonely, painful death. Reborn, I want nothing more to do with her. In this life, we will never meet again. August 10th was supposed to be our engagement day. On that day, I will personally set her free. There are 14 days left. The moment I opened my bedroom door, my eyes met Ava's. "I'm going out for a bit," she said. "If my mom asks, just tell her I'm with you. Don't mess it up." I gave a non-committal response. Ava and I grew up together. Our parents worked at the same company, and our houses were on the same street. Our relationship had drifted along like that for years. Her father, Mr. Thompson, had always been incredibly kind to me. Sometimes I felt he treated me better than he did his own daughter during the confusing haze of adolescence. I realized I was in love with Ava, but the person she loved was Caleb Reed. I had planned to keep that crush buried in my heart, content to be her protective older brother figure for the rest of our lives. But one night at a corporate party, our paths became irrevocably tangled. I was drunk, and when I woke up, I found out that Ava had been assaulted. Though Mr. Thompson never blamed me, my conscience ate me alive. I felt that if I hadn't gotten blackout drunk, I could have protected her. Over his many protestations, I insisted on getting engaged to her. He eventually gave in to my stubbornness, and his family agreed. When Caleb found out, he lost it and stormed over to the Thompsons' house to cause a scene. I knew nothing about any of this. My head filled only with the joyous thought that I was finally going to marry my bride. In my past life, after Caleb's outburst, Ava became more certain than ever of her place in his heart. She secretly vowed that he was the only one for her for the rest of her life. For Caleb, she would give up everything, her family, her future, and me. The harder I pushed forward, the more she pulled away. My desperation met her resistance. I exhausted myself trying to prove I was better than Caleb, that choosing me was the right choice. But in the end, even Mr. Thompson, who had once praised me endlessly, cut ties with me. The two children I had poured my heart and soul into raising ran straight into Ava's arms. They even twisted the knife. "Dad is so exhausting. Always making a scene," one of them said. "Honestly, it would be better if you just died and let Mom and Uncle Caleb be happy." I can't wait to call him Dad. Now I'm back, and my eyes are wide open. In this life, I'm going to live for myself. I won't be the villain who breaks up the star-crossed lovers, and I won't raise ungrateful vipers. The first step to getting away from Ava Thompson's world was changing my graduate school application. This time I'm letting myself go and giving all of them exactly what they want. 3 last times to be with Ava. I gave up a golden opportunity to study abroad and chose to enter the graduate program at our university with her. During those years, I was buried under grueling experiments and endless papers, all while trying to take care of her. What made it unbearable was knowing that while I was drowning in work, she and Caleb were carrying on behind my back. The pain was suffocating, but I told myself it didn't matter. After all, I was the one she was engaged to. Later, Caleb was expelled from the university. Ava was convinced I was behind it and never gave me a kind look again. After we finished our master's degrees, everyone pressured us to get married. But Ava kept making excuses. Then she received an invitation to Caleb's engagement. To ensure Ava would go through with our engagement, Caleb had quickly married a wealthy heiress. Devastated and disheartened, Ava finally agreed to marry me. After the wedding, the Thompson family immediately started pressuring us to have children. But Ava avoided me constantly. I'd visit her at work, and she'd offer to cover a colleague's shift just to avoid coming home to our apartment. Mr. Thompson called daily to ask about our progress. He even sent over some lingerie to win Ava back and to give Mr. Thompson the grandchild he so desperately wanted. I swallowed my embarrassment and wore it. But that night, the look in her eyes wasn't surprise or desire. It was disgust and revulsion. I couldn't stand it. I fled back to my parents' house that same night. Ava came after me and apologized, and we finally had our long overdue wedding night. Just that one time, and she was pregnant. I was ecstatic, thinking a child would finally make her settle down and focus on our family. But reality slapped me in the face. The only one trapped was me. The only one who could ever hold Ava captive was Caleb. Even when Caleb endangered our child, she still threw herself in front of him to protect him. To make me drop my anger over Caleb's transgression, she knelt before me right after giving birth and begged me to let him go. When she feared my anger wasn't appeased, she stabbed herself with a knife to beg for my forgiveness. While our child was in the emergency room, she was already clinging to Caleb, basking in the joy of their reunion. Through it all, she never once asked how our child was doing. One evening, I was taking a shower in my room, my phone on the desk. A message came in. It was a picture. The first person to see it was Mr. Thompson. He had come in to discuss the arrangements for the engagement party. He happened to see Ava's name on the notification and, out of curiosity, opened it. When I walked out of the bathroom with a towel, all I saw was the dark, thunderous look on his face. That damn girl, he seethed. Instead of focusing on our own engagement, she's out gallivanting with some outsider, leaving you here all alone. It's just not right, he continued. And that Caleb, first he comes to our house and throws a fit. And now he's still hanging around Ava. Ethan, don't you worry. Tomorrow I'm going to have a talk with his parents. I want to see just how they raise their son. Caleb's father was a driver for our company. His mother worked in the cafeteria as the HR manager. Mr. Thompson was usually easygoing, even friendly. But that all changed when Ava begged him to get Caleb a job at the company, revealing their relationship. Furious, he forbade them from seeing each other. In Mr. Thompson's eyes, Ava's future husband had to come from a family of equal or greater standing, someone like me, who she'd grown up with. After all, my father was a CEO, my mother was the CFO, and my uncle owned a major corporation. Being with me would guarantee Ava a step up in life. To break them up, Mr. Thompson used every tool at his disposal against Caleb's parents, hoping the pressure would make their family back down. But having had a taste of a better life, Caleb's family wasn't about to give up so easily. In the last life, even with Mr. Thompson and me working together, we couldn't keep them apart. Not until I was completely broken and he had run out of steam. In the end, Caleb not only married Ava, but also took my 2 children as his own. And my 2 wonderful children handed him my company on a silver platter. This time, I've decided to grant their wishes and set myself free. I won't interfere with anyone's decisions anymore. If Caleb wants to marry Ava, I wish him luck getting past Mr. Thompson. It won't be so easy. One of Mr. Thompson's methods for splitting them up was to cancel Ava's credit cards. It was simple and crude, but incredibly effective. The very next morning, I found Ava waiting for me at my door. I brought you breakfast. Eat it while it's hot. She then said about yesterday, you really misunderstood. It was just a bad angle, a trick of the camera. We weren't paying attention. We were actually standing really far apart. Seriously, you have to believe me. We're about to become family. I wouldn't be so reckless. Her words were sincere, her eyes earnest. If it weren't for a few personal items I recognized in the corner of the photo, I almost would have believed her again. Then again, She'd been lying to me since we were kids. And I had always lived inside the world she built with those lies, my emotions orbiting hers, which she found immensely satisfying. I never saw the deception in her words because I believed that honest eyes couldn't lie. While she was recovering from childbirth, she told me she had cut all ties with Caleb and would focus on our family from now on. But during a company retreat, she flaunted her relationship with Caleb for everyone to see. If a friend had sent me a photo, I never would have known what cutting ties really meant. I took our child and, following the address from the photo, found the hotel where she was staying. Unsurprisingly, the room was filled with both of their things. On her birthday, I wanted to buy her a gift to try and salvage our relationship. On the way, I got into a car accident. I needed her to come to the hospital to sign the surgical consent forms. She said she was out of town on business and couldn't make it back. In reality, she was busy decorating a new house with Caleb, inviting friends to their wedding, and so I died alone and miserable on an operating table. In my past life, I lived in a bubble of Ava's lies. Now, the bubble has burst and I'm awake. As long as I choose not to believe, her bubbles will remain just that, empty air. I waved a hand dismissively. It's fine. Of course I believe you. But Caleb sent me that message while I was in the shower. And your dad saw it first. Don't look at me. I didn't say a thing. It was Caleb's own fault for being so fixated on me. If he hadn't been so determined to provoke me, hoping to push me into doing something irrational, he wouldn't have ended up in Mr. Thompson's crosshairs. Hearing this, Ava forced a laugh. Of course, I know you believe me. Besides, as soon as the grad school placements are announced, we're getting engaged. We'll be family then. I would never betray my own. There is no then. As soon as I get that offer from overseas, I'm packing my bags and getting as far away from you as possible. And we're not getting engaged. You poor thing, having to run over here and placate me right after comforting Caleb. In just a little over 2 weeks, I said quietly, you'll be free. Ava didn't quite hear me. What's in a little over 2 weeks? I didn't answer. Just walked past her. Your freedom, I thought. The freedom to be with Caleb. While the Thompsons were busy planning the engagement party, I was focused on preparing to go abroad. With everyone's attention elsewhere, Ava took every opportunity to see Caleb, often coming home late into the night. This infuriated Mr. Thompson, who declared he was cutting off her allowance until the engagement. Terrified, she immediately ran to me to apologize. Ethan, you know Caleb and I are just classmates. I'm about to get engaged to you. If there were really something going on between us, I wouldn't be marrying you, right? With just a few words, she tried to erase her entire history with Caleb. I knew all too well the clever deceptions that came from that mouth, so I just gave a vague response. She took it as a sign that I was still wrapped around her finger and continued to sneak out as she pleased. Caleb had resubmitted his resume to my father's company, and Ava, worried he wouldn't get through this time, came to find me, a troubled look on her face. Is there any way to make sure he gets into the company? She asked, her tone confident, as if she assumed I would do it without question. Normally, there were certainly ways, but for Caleb, the man who was my rival in my past life, why would I ever lift a finger for him? Of course not, I said. You know, I don't pay much attention to company business. Besides, weren't you the one who always said you hated nepotism? What is Caleb Ree the exception? Afraid of saying too much and letting something slip? Ava couldn't press the issue of me not helping. Instead, she began to deliberately distance herself from me. But I didn't care anymore, so I certainly wasn't going to play her game of apologies and reconciliation. Mr. Thompson, assuming we just had a fight, spent his days trying to manufacture situations for us to be alone together. On the day of the graduate school interviews, Ava was dressed to the nines. Mr. Thompson thought she was finally coming to her senses. See, Ava still cares about you, he said to me. After all, you two are getting engaged soon. I didn't say a word. The person she had so carefully dressed up for wasn't me. 7. The next time I saw them, I was greeted by Caleb's fist flying toward my face, as if I would let him hit me. I raised a hand, blocked the punch, and sent one of my own back at him. Ava's shriek pierced the air. Ugh, how could you do that? She cried. Caleb is already miserable enough. My dad got his parents fired, and now you're hitting him. Fired, Mr. Thompson worked fast. It was clear he was truly unhappy with his daughter's choice of a suitor. But what did that have to do with me? Caleb didn't dare yell at his future father-in-law, so he decided to take it out on the easy target. Easy targets are relative. When it came to Caleb, I was harder than stone. I turned to leave, but Ava grabbed my arm. His parents just lost their jobs. He's not in a good state of mind. That's why he came looking for you. Came looking for me? With his fists. She saw the doubt in my eyes and remembered Caleb's attack. Her confidence faltered for a second, but then she seemed to recall something else and stood up straighter. Okay, what Caleb did was wrong, but it's because this all happened so suddenly. You already hit him back. If you're still not satisfied, you can hit me a couple of times. Her words made me laugh out of sheer anger. His life gets uncomfortable, so he comes looking for trouble with me. What am I, some kind of doormat? And you, I said, who are you to him that I should take my anger out on you instead of him? Ava finally seemed to remember that I was the one she was supposed to be marrying in a few weeks. But she still didn't back down, standing firmly in front of Caleb. We came here today to ask you to go to the company and see if you can get Caleb's parents their jobs back. If not, then at least make sure Caleb passes his interview. I took a deep breath. What? Too scared to ask your own father? So you pick on the weaker one. A guy like him wants to use connections to get ahead. Believe me, I can make one call and ensure he doesn't even get an interview. I started to walk away again, but she grabbed my wrist. Don't go. You were the one who hit him. This isn't. Not daring to look me in the eye. Ava's voice grew softer. Tell me, if I told my dad about how you acted today, what do you think he would do? Ignoring the pleading in her eyes, I pried her hand off mine. The look on both their faces, a mixture of anger and helplessness, made it seem as if I had committed some unforgivable crime. Whatever. 10 more days. I could put up with it for 10 more days. Ava was busy helping Caleb prepare for their grad school interviews, terrified he would bomb them because of what happened to his parents. She was so preoccupied she didn't even notice I wasn't at the exam hall. It was only when the list of accepted students was posted that she realized. She found me and asked if I hadn't been accepted into our university's program. Not wanting to waste my breath, I just nodded. Why didn't we agree we would both stay here for grad school? Ava actually looked a little angry. So, which school are you going to? Having already received my acceptance letter, I was in a mood to tell her. Maybe she would even think I was being considerate, gracefully stepping aside to give them their space. Oxford, the one in England. That's so far away. The farther, the better, I thought. That's the only way to be completely free of you two. Without another glance at her expression, I turned and walked away. The next day, I was anonymously reported for cheating on an undergraduate academic competition. The admissions office at Oxford sent me an urgent email demanding an explanation, threatening to rescind my offer. After I replied, they finally agreed to keep my spot open, but only if I resolved the issue within 3 days. I had no doubt who was behind the report. There was a research competition I did as an undergraduate at the time to help Ava secure her spot in the graduate program. I had listed her as the first author on our paper, making myself the second. Now, someone was claiming I had fabricated my results and was demanding my name be stripped from the project. After submitting all my original research data and notes to the university, I turned around and filed a report of my own against Caleb. My results were real. His, on the other hand, might not be. When Ava heard that Caleb's admission to the graduate program was about to be revoked, she rushed to find me. Ethan, Caleb didn't mean to report you. Can you forgive him? I asked her if she knew he was going to report me. Her eyes darted away, unable to answer. I then asked her, while others might not know the truth about the competition, you certainly did, didn't you? Ava just mumbled excuses, insisting Caleb didn't do it on purpose. He just misunderstood you. I promise I'll clear things up with him. Can you please just withdraw your report? Ava believed that after the party, I had stubbornly insisted on marrying her just to keep her and Caleb apart. Now, she was bringing it up again. A bitter laugh rose in my chest, but I refused. This wasn't my fault, and would your promises or your clearing things up ever mean anything? Say it for Caleb. Ava never imagined I would refuse her so flatly. Her face fell, a mask of frustration for Caleb's impulsiveness and for my stone-cold heart. But she wasn't ready to give up. She tried one last time. But if you just... I didn't say a word, turning to leave, but she threw her arms around my arm to stop me. What if I ask you? For the sake of everything we've been through since we were kids. It was true. My parents were complete workaholics, always busy, leaving me to grow up alone. If Ava hadn't come into my life, I probably would have sunk into depression and given up on everything. I wouldn't have achieved anything. She was like the sun, brilliant and dazzling, and step by step, she walked into my world. It was because I'd felt her warmth that I tolerated so much in my past life that I could never let her go. In a world where no one else cared about me, and I cared for no one, there was only her. But what I didn't know back then was that when you walk into the light, you can also be burned by it. This life, I've already decided to stay away from her. I suppose this is how I repay that debt. Fine, I said. You said it. After this, we're even. Seeing how decisive I was, Ava looked flustered. She started to say something else to try to take it back, but I shook her off. A moment later, a text came through. I'm sorry, Ethan. What I said earlier hurt you. See, she always knew exactly what to say to get to me. And yet, she still said it all for Caleb. You were just weighing your options and following your heart. I texted back. It didn't matter. I couldn't be heard anymore. In any case, there were only 7 days left. It would be over soon. After I withdrew the report, Caleb was back to his old, arrogant self. So, what if he reported me? I still got into the program. Did it do any good? Don't you know Ava's family has connections? He taunted. Why don't you just get lost? Even if you two do get engaged, so what? We're the ones who are schooled together for the next 3 years. Are you going to be able to see her? Even if Mr. Thompson has your back, there's nothing he can do. The person Ava loves isn't you. You think she's going to fall for you just because you're engaged? She'll never marry you. If I were you, I'd go to Mr. Thompson right now and tell him to call the whole thing off. I was busy packing for my trip abroad and had no intention of dealing with him, but he was relentlessly annoying. Did Ava not tell you? I said, she's the one who came begging me to let you off the hook. She promised you wouldn't come looking for trouble again. And are her connections really that strong? My father is the CEO of his company. My mother is the CFO. And my uncle owns a major corporation. Tell me, if you keep provoking me, do you think you'll ever find a job after you graduate? Caleb didn't believe my family was that powerful. You're bluffing. If you had that kind of background, we would have seen someone from your family over the last 4 years of college. You ate and lived just like the rest of us, a big shot owner. I bet it's just some shell corporation you registered for show. He sneered. You're just a pathetic charity case. If it wasn't for the Thompsons taking you in, you'd still be eking out a miserable existence somewhere. Eking out a miserable existence. Those 4 words struck a nerve. While my family background sounded impressive on paper, I knew better than anyone what it was really like. In that place I was supposed to call home, I never felt a single shred of warmth. I remember the last time I saw my parents was 4 years ago after I got my college acceptance scores. I excitedly called to share the news. Like I was a TUR, keep up the good work. My uncle had his own business to run, his own family to care for. No one cared what I did or how I was. I felt like a zombie just going through the motions, eking out an existence at home. Ever since starting college with Ava, I had been living at the Thompsons' house. Mr. Thompson treated me like his own son until I was reborn. Now, thinking back on the contemptuous way he treated me in my past life after our relationship soured, I could no longer see him the same way. Every day I spent in that house was agony. Just 3 more days, then I could finally leave. The day before I was scheduled to leave the country, my aunt called. I found something out a couple of days ago, she said. I was going to keep it to myself, but your uncle told me you have a right to know the truth. I was curious what I had a right to know. You know how Ava was assaulted at that party a while back? And because of that, you felt guilty and insisted on marrying her. Well, I recently discovered something. Security footage shows Mark Thompson meeting with the man who did it. It was brief, but you know what happened right after? Ava was assaulted. She took a breath. There's no direct proof. And it sounds insane. A father hiring someone to assault his own daughter. But after thinking it over and over, I decided I had to tell you. Just be aware of it. What really happened? We may never know for sure. The call had ended long ago, but I remained frozen in place, unable to process what I'd heard. So, the architect of it all was Mr. Thompson. He didn't approve of Caleb, but he was fixated on my family's background. He intentionally orchestrated the whole thing to make me feel guilty, to make me propose to Ava. No wonder he was always pushing me to go after her whenever she was with Caleb. And no wonder his attitude soured once my focus shifted entirely to Ava and our children, and the kids were old enough to one day take over. From the very beginning, the only thing he ever wanted was my family's company. This entire relationship was a calculation from start. Just then, Mr. Thompson knocked and entered my room holding a suit bag. "Tomorrow, you and Ava are getting engaged. I want to give this to you, a little something to add to the happy occasion." I took the suit, feigning delight. "This is too much." "Thank you, Mr. Thompson. I hope to see you looking sharp in it tomorrow," he said. I pretended to agree. A suit this nice should be worn by Caleb when he gets engaged to Ava. That would be much more fitting. "Mr. Thompson," I said with a smile, "I have a surprise for you tomorrow, too. I hope you like it." Well, my phone wouldn't stop vibrating. A flood of calls and texts poured in. "What's going on, Ethan? Today's your big day with Ava. Why aren't you here yet? Ethan, what are you doing? Why haven't you come to my house? The ceremony is about to start. I'm going to be a laughingstock. Get over here right now. All our relatives are waiting. We're almost out of time." After a brief moment of silence, the phone started ringing frantically again. This time, I answered when a video call connected. Mr. Thompson's face filled the screen. "Ethan, what is all this?" "Today is your wedding day. The ceremony is starting. Where are you? Let's rewind a bit." After waiting for some time at the Thompson house, the guests were growing impatient. Finally, the car procession arrived. As the ceremony proceeded, everyone suddenly realized the groom wasn't me. It was Caleb. Mr. Thompson was stunned. Ava stood frozen, speechless. She had just managed to convince herself to forget Caleb and focus on being with me. After all, the engagement had shown her the vast gap between our families. "Caleb, what are you doing here?" "Mr. Thompson," Caleb declared, "I'm here for Ava. Ethan can't make her happy. Only I can. Will you give me your blessing to marry her?" Mr. Thompson was about to refuse when he noticed the suit Caleb was wearing. His question immediately changed. "How did you get that suit?" Caleb glanced down at the expensive suit, a hint of pride in his voice. I suppose Ethan realized that since we're going to be at the same school, he's not good enough for Ava. So, he decided to step aside and let me be the one to protect her. This suit is the proof. I received it last night. Ethan even told me to wear it today when I came to get engaged to Ava. Now back to the present, remembering what Caleb had said. Mr. Thompson swallowed his anger. "Ethan, where are you? Ava is getting upset. Where did you go? Why aren't you here?" I flipped the camera around, showing him my location. "Mr. Thompson, I told you I had a surprise for you. Do you like it?" "Ava," I said into the phone, "I told you I'd give you your freedom. I'm about to start my master's degree abroad. This way, you and Caleb could be together forever." Hearing this, Mr. Thompson was the first to panic. "But when I gave you the suit yesterday, you promised you'd wear it to get engaged to Ava." I promised to accept the suit. I never promised to wear it. Since he gave me a surprise, it was only fair I returned the favor. The person Ava has always loved is Caleb. So, the one she should be engaged to is Caleb. You never should have tried to break them up, Mr. Thompson. You should trust that their love is strong enough to eventually win your approval. My aunt chimed in from beside me. "That's right. That's for the young people to figure out. We elders should just focus on planning the wedding and wait for grandchildren." Without a second thought, Mr. Thompson shot back, "Absolutely not. He's the son of a driver. How could he possibly be worthy of my daughter? Ethan, you've always been my first choice for a son-in-law. Ava really likes you, too." As he spoke, he shot a glare at Ava, then turned the camera on her. "Ava, say something. Tell him you're still at home waiting for him. Tell Ethan to come back right now." Under Caleb's intense gaze, how could Ava possibly say those words? Seeing Caleb in that handsome suit had mesmerized her, reinforcing what she'd always wanted. Besides, she knew how badly she had wronged me. How could she have a nerve to say she wanted to marry me now? Of course, even if she had, I wouldn't have believed her. On the video call, Ava's eyes were filled with a mixture of grievance and resentment. Just as she was about to speak, Caleb quickly interrupted. "Ava, do I look handsome in the suit today?" Ava nodded, but her gaze was fixed on my image on the screen, unhappy with her distracted response. Caleb tugged at her hand. What are you looking at him for? Do you regret that I'm the one you're getting engaged to? And not him. Ava didn't speak. Her eyes were still locked on me. Perhaps she was only just realizing how long it had been since she had truly looked at me. Now that I was leaving, she was starting to hesitate, having been outplayed by me. Mr. Thompson's face was grim. Ethan, you were the one who insisted on marrying Ava. Today was supposed to be your happy day. Are you trying to back out now? Have you forgotten how guilty you felt in front of me after Ava was assaulted, furious, and panicking? Mr. Thompson was losing his composure in a desperate attempt to win back his prized son-in-law. He didn't hesitate to reopen Ava's deepest wound in front of everyone. Ava was shocked that her own father would bring that up in front of so many people. It was as if she was transported back to that terrifying night when she cried out for help and no one came. But then she looked at Caleb standing before her, and her heart steadied. I heard you were also at the party that night, Mr. Thompson, I said calmly into the phone. Why didn't you say hello to Ava? Maybe then she wouldn't have been left all alone with no one to turn to. If you don't even care about your own daughter, why should I feel any guilt, especially when you were the one who pushed her into the fire? Hearing this, Mr. Thompson's mouth snapped shut. He knew he could no longer use that to control me. It's fine, he said, scrambling to change the subject. Since the auspicious time has passed, we'll just find a new one. You should be getting your acceptance letter soon, right? I've already bought you a lot of things for school. I'll give them to you later. He was desperate to deflect from the topic of the party. I glanced at the flight information on the large screen above me. No need. Give them to your future son-in-law. I'm about to board my flight. With that, I hung up and walked on the jet bridge on my way to England. Mr. Thompson couldn't believe I had just hung up on him. He frantically dialed again, but the call went unanswered. He tried one more time. The number you have dialed has been turned off. Watching the building shrink below, I thought, Ava, this time I'm finally free of you. As soon as the plane landed, I turned on my phone and was flooded with messages. I had hoped to see a reply from my parents to the text I'd sent before takeoff about studying abroad. I scrolled through everything. Nothing. Mr. Thompson had sent quite a few messages, but I had no intention of replying until I saw one from Ava. Ethan, I'm sorry. I really missed the times we used to have, but I couldn't help it. I just care about Caleb too much. That's why I always chose to protect him when it was between you and him. I never planned on getting engaged to him. I just felt like he needed me more. Knowing Ava's personality, I believed her. She was addicted to being needed by Caleb, but had never actually intended to marry him. In our past life, she could never get over him precisely because she had me as a safety net, which allowed her to pine for something better. It's true what they say. You always want what you can't have. Once it's within reach, it suddenly seems dull and disposable. After a long moment, I finally typed out a reply. It's okay. I'll meet someone more deserving. I had already decided to move on. Nothing else mattered. Besides, in this life, I just wanted to be free. On the first day of orientation, I saw her on a street in a foreign country. Ava, you left without a word, she said. I didn't even get a chance to see you off. I frowned. It wouldn't look good if your fiancé found out. Ava froze, unsure how to respond. After a long pause, she finally said, He's not my fiancé. Don't misunderstand. Even though I was abroad, my aunt had been keeping me updated on the Thompsons. Before, Ava had undoubtedly wanted to marry Caleb. But after a long talk with her father, she had become quiet and withdrawn. Caleb, however, assumed that since I had given up on Ava, his position as the Thompson family's son-in-law was secure. Though the ceremony had failed, he had started acting a part, constantly sending me messages warning me to stay away and not come crawling back. I got so tired of it that I blocked him, but he kept texting from new numbers. I ignored them all. Ava didn't say anything more, but she stepped forward, trying to take my arm. I took a step back, creating distance between us. Ignoring the pleading look in her eyes, I walked straight past her. Realizing I was rejecting her, Ava looked like she wanted to say something more. But in the end, she remained silent. She knew that this time there was no going back. Perhaps out of a desire to compensate, or perhaps because she still wanted to win me back. Ava bought a load of groceries and cooked an elaborate meal in my rented apartment. From the mountain of food, I only picked at some of the vegetables. Ava looked displeased. "Ethan, what is this? I worked so hard to make all this food, and you're only eating vegetables. Don't all guys like seafood?" Caleb. She claimed she wanted to forget Caleb. Yet, she still remembered his favorite foods. "Not everyone likes seafood. Caleb likes seafood," I said evenly. "And I'm allergic to it. You used to know that." Ava covered her face with her hands. After a long moment, she whispered, "I'm sorry. I forgot." "It's okay," I said, and I meant it. It's easy to forget someone who doesn't matter anymore. After seeing Ava off at the airport, I drove away, watching the scenery fly by. I savored the view that in this life belonged only to me. When I got back to my apartment, I found a new roommate had moved in, a guy named Leo Carter. As we talked, we discovered we were not only accepted into the same university, but also the same program. We hit it off immediately, talking for hours about our studies and future plans. The more we talked, the more we realized how much we had in common. It wasn't until I was about to go to bed that I saw a text from Ava letting me know she had landed safely. "I'm back and I'm sorry, Ethan. I neglected you for the past 4 years." "Oh, I don't care anymore." Besides, it was much longer than just 4 years. After that, I deleted Ava from all my contacts. During a break, I went back to the States for some business and decided to visit Professor Grant, my undergraduate mentor. He happened to mention that one of the grad students had been asked to leave the program that year. A thought crossed my mind, and I casually asked who it was. Unsurprisingly, it was Caleb. It seemed that even in this life, he couldn't escape his fate of being expelled. I heard it was for academic fraud. Professor Grant said the university found out and asked him to withdraw. That was probably the reason he was expelled in my past life, too. I don't know what kind of spell he cast on Ava to make her so convinced that I was the one who had schemed against him. Thank God I was abroad this time and had cut all ties with her. The blame didn't fall on me. After graduating, Leo and I got jobs at a prestigious law firm. The very first case we handled was a property dispute between Caleb and a wealthy Aries. Watching Caleb's ugly greed as he fought for a larger share of his ex-wife's family fortune, I had a sudden realization. In my past life, it probably wasn't like Ava said at all. He didn't marry someone else to hurt her and make her give up on him. He married the Aries because she was rich. Period. And yet, he managed to paint himself as a tragic hero to Ava, a true love defeated by power and circumstance, making her resent me and never forget him. And later, when he and the Aries divorced, it wasn't because he couldn't forget Ava. It was because the Aries got tired of him and kicked him out. By that time, Ava was already far ahead in terms of wealth and connections. Her parents could no longer control her, claiming he could never forget her and didn't want to waste his time on anyone else. Caleb reappeared in her life, and Ava, who had never gotten over him, ran right back into his arms the moment he beckoned. Their reunion was like a spark to dry tinder. The old flame reignited instantly. Around that same time, I was completely swamped with a crisis at my company and had no time to pay attention to Ava or our 2 children. By the time I looked up, Caleb had completely infiltrated my home. He constantly provoked me, fueling fights between Ava and me and speeding up our divorce. The more I tried to save our relationship, the more he used her to hurt me. Eventually, we divorced. In my past life, because I loved Ava so deeply, I lost everything. My love, my children, my company, and my life. The thought that I'd lost a man like that and died so tragically was unbearable. I couldn't let it go. The Aries family was already tangled up in legal troubles. As her husband, there was no way Caleb could have remained untouched. Through my persistent efforts, the family's company was investigated and exposed for massive fraud. Even after declaring bankruptcy, they still had tens of millions in debt to repay. As a party to the marriage, Caleb was legally responsible for half of it. Naturally, Caleb wasn't willing to pay. He tried to flee, but ended up assaulting someone in the process and was sentenced to 3 years in prison. From jail, he made repeated attempts to contact Ava. But Ava, now knowing the truth, never came to see him. At a college roommate's wedding, I ran into Ava. She was, as always, dazzling. Most of the men in the room couldn't take their eyes off her, but her gaze cut through the crowd and landed directly on me. "That's a nice suit," she said. "It looks good on you." I had wondered what the first thing we'd say to each other would be, but I never expected that. "Thanks," I replied. "You look beautiful today, too." After the exchange of pleasantries, there was nothing left to say. The crowd moved on to other topics. "Hey, isn't there another one of our classmates who should be here?" someone asked. "What happened to him?" "Don't even bring him up," another person said. "First, he gets kicked out of school. Now he's a guest of the state. Why ruin a mood by talking about him?" Though they said that, their eyes kept darting between me and Ava. I said nothing. Ava just pursed her lips. "I didn't know him that well," she said quietly. "Didn't know him that well." With those 4 words, the entire tangled mess of our past and present lives was swept away. So, she could be this cold to Caleb after all. It was laughable. In my past life, I tried so hard, and it only pushed them closer together. In this life, I did nothing, and the so-called star-crossed lovers simply drifted apart. Over the holidays, while I was at home, Ava called me. "Are you busy? I'm near your house. I'll come by a bit. We can grab a coffee or something." I texted back, "What's up? You could just tell me over the phone." The moment I sent it, another message from her came in. "I'm almost at your place. Just a few minutes, that's all." I didn't reply. Instead, I quickly grabbed my phone and wallet, went downstairs, got in my car, and drove away. Bad timing. I ran right into her on the street. "Ethan," she began, fidgeting with her coffee cup in the cafe. I was wondering if, and this is just a hypothetical, if I knew I was wrong, is there any chance we could go back to how things were? I had to remind her there was never a chance for us. Besides, you used our history to beg for my help with Caleb. And I agreed. So now, when we see each other, we're strangers. Ava said nothing more, just sipped her bitter coffee in silence. As the night grew deeper, I offered to drive her home. She didn't respond, but quietly got into the passenger seat. Before she got out of the car, she asked the question that had clearly been bothering her. After the engagement fell through, she asked, "Why did you stop contacting my dad?" I didn't want to answer, but she was relentless. "He treated you better than he treated me our whole lives. Just because we fell apart. What did that have to do with him?" Since she was so determined to defend her father, I saw no reason to keep hiding the truth. "Do you remember the party from 3 years ago? The assault? He's the one who arranged it, and he was there that night." The color drained from Ava's face. She couldn't believe what she was hearing. "That's impossible. He's my father. I'm his daughter." As if finding some source of courage, she looked up at me again, unable to hide the fury in her eyes. I didn't argue. "If you want to know the reason, why don't you go home and ask him?" "You're lying. I don't believe you." Despite her words, she stumbled out of the car and ran upstairs, looking completely lost. After Ava left, I didn't go home. I immediately called Leo, and we left for a spontaneous road trip. Ava tried calling and texting me from several different numbers. I ignored them all. "I heard the firm is hiring someone new," Leo said, leaning in conspiratorially. Before I could ask who, Ava's figure appeared in my doorway. "I heard you're still single," she said. "So here I am. Are you considering me?" I raised an eyebrow slightly. "I've already given you my answer. Do you need to hear it again?" Her expression darkened. "I knew that's what you'd say. It's okay. I've graduated now, and I'll be working at the firm. I look forward to working with you." I used the excuse of being busy with work to see her out. In reality, I was already on my computer typing up my resignation letter. The next day, when Ava came and knocked on my office door, I was already in another state. After that, I dedicated myself to my career. I loved the feeling. I wasn't living for a relationship. I was living for myself. Whenever I ran into old classmates at reunions, they would tell me about Ava. I heard she was still asking around, trying to find out where I was. Of course, she never found a trace of me. She kept telling people she knew she was wrong, that she deeply regretted not cherishing me. But did it matter? What was over was over. Isn't it better to just follow your